Assalamualaikum and good morning. I lead to Dr. Aludin bin Muhammad Sarah. My name is Muhammad Syahgan Zulmi bin Muhammad Qasim and I'm from BMMH. The topic that I will assign in this semester is a study of porous ceramic with different polymethyl methacrylate contents for low thermal conductivity application. I hope that we have a better and clearer understanding in this project that I will be presented later. Okay, now I will present about the table of content. Okay, starting with chapter 1, which is the introduction, the problem statement, the research objective, and scope of research. Following with chapter 2 is the literature review of each material, which are the silica, feldspar, clay, and polymethyl methacrylate. Okay. Next will be the chapter 3 and 4, which is the method of producing samples, following with the test of samples, and expected result for this project. Okay. Finally will be the summary of this presentation. Now I would like to present the introduction of the studies. Okay. Thermal comfort has always been important in human daily life. Many studies have been made by researchers to achieve a perfect balance between the heat and comfort. One of the materials that can be related in cooling performance are silicon nitride, or we can call it as ceramic. Because of its superior properties, such as high decomposition temperature, high strength at room and elevated temperature, low coefficient of friction, and high thermal shock resistance, that it has been chosen as the main material of the study. I will proceed with the problem statement. Okay. Although ceramics consists of superior properties, it's somehow unsuitable to be used in a certain industry. To produce a ceramic sample that can withstand a high temperature and increases of durability. Okay. I will continue with the research objective, which is the first one is to fabricate ceramic samples with different contents of polymethyl methacrylate or PMMA. Okay. The second objective is to measure the mechanical properties of ceramic. Next is the scope of research. Okay, the first one is the research will examine the powder processing, ceramic fabrication, powder or ceramic characteristic, and ceramic performance. The process will determine the ceramic sample porosity and thermal conductivity. In this chapter 2, I would like to explain about the functionality of each material that is being used for the literature review. The first material will be the silica powder. This material may be found in both crystalline and non-crystalline form. The material is one of the best cooling material and it is used for the main material in the studies. Next, it will be the feldspar. In this project, the feldspar acts as a flux during the sintering process, which somehow can lower the maximum point of heating conductivity of the samples. Okay, the next material is clay. Okay, when the body of the ceramic is heated to the temperature at which it is fired, the organic particles that compose it are destroyed by the heat and replaced by voids. The pore-forming agent that was utilized will detect the morphology of this void. Clay is a substance that, depending on the amount of water it contains, it can quickly go from a viscoelastic state to a brittle state. Okay, next is the polymethyl methacrylate or PMMA. This material acted as a pore-forming agent. The pore-forming agent function is to control the size of pore that is being created inside the sample. When the body of the ceramic is heated to the temperature at which it is fired, the organic particles that compose it are destroyed by the heat and replaced by voids. The pore-forming agent that was utilized will detect the morphology of this void. Chapter, I would like to present about the methodology. Okay. Methodology is the big picture plan and reasoning behind the research project. It means by learning more about the methods that is being used in the study and the theory or ideas behind it, and can come up with a plan that fits the goal of the study. There will be include a few testing to determine the durability of the sample. The flowchart represents the method that is being used. Okay. I would like to explain about the flowchart, which is on the right side of the slide. The first process is to mix the four materials to form a mixture. Okay. The four raw material consists of clay, feldspar, silica, and PMMA, which acted as the pore forming agent. Okay. Each material will be weighed before being mixed together. Next, the mixture will then be put inside the bottle containing around 30 balls milling, which will be rotated for a duration of 3 hours. The function of this step is to grind the mixture to form a fine grain powder. The next step is to continue with the process of sieving, which is to separate the granulate powder with the fine grain powder. The fine grain powder then is being transferred into the sample molding to be pressed around 600 megapascal to make sure all air that is trapped inside the powder will be released. Okay. The molding is then being put inside the furnace and be burned around 1075 degrees Celsius in a period of time. Then the samples is being brought out of the furnace and being cooled down in a room temperature. Then we will proceed with the testing of material. Okay, for further understanding, I put an infographic info for each process the equipment used. Okay. The first one is the collection of raw material, which is the clay, feldspar, silica, and pore forming agent. Follow with the ball milling process for 3 hours, following with sieving process to differentiate the granulate powder and the fine grain powder. Next is to use the pressing machine to press the powder into the molding samples. And the samples will be brought into the furnace for the sintering process of 1075 degrees Celsius, and finally the material will be cooled down before proceed with testing. For this slide, I will explain about the weight for each material. Okay. As the table presented, this is the calculation for the mass material needed in the studies. The amount for 3 main materials, which are clay, feldspar, and silica, are kept constant for each sample. Only the PMMA or polymethyl methacrylate or pore forming agent content will be changed based on the percentage that have been set in the studies. Okay, now we will proceed with the testing process. Okay, the first testing is the X-ray diffraction analysis or XRD test. Okay, the X-ray beam will be projected inside the sample. It is to determine the crystalline structure of each sample. Next will be the density and porosity test. It is to measure the density and porosity of each ceramic sample. The sample is being immersed inside a beaker of distilled water and being kept in a period of time. Next is the thermal conductivity test. It is a method of measuring heating conductivity of sample. Two ceramic samples is being put together and a probe is using to stick it between the samples while the sample is being heated in a period of time. Next will be the bending test. A 3-point bending test to test the elasticity of the samples. Based on the 3-point, a constant push of 600 megapascal is being used to test the elasticity of the sample. Okay. Finally is the scanning electron microscope, or we can call it as SEM. Okay. Its function is to photograph the surface of samples. The sample is being put under the microscope to observe the surface of ceramic. Okay, finally is the expected result. Okay, the samples are in good condition based on the method used and explained in chapter 3. The pore structure can be acceptable based on the XRD testing, and the thermal conductivity is kept minimal as possible, while the increasing of strength are hoped in the studies. Okay, here are the list of reference that I have used in building this presentation. Okay, I would like to thank Dr. Aludin for lending me his ear and time to listen to what I have presented. With that, thank you and have a good day.